What is going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. It's Tag Team Thursday, and I am here to kind of close things out. Most of you already know you've been jumping on the train, the Tag Team Thursday train, where we kicked off things over at Just a Rican and his comics. Rod, his channel is 6:30, and then from there we jumped over to John's Comics with Kids at 6:45. Then we went over to Old Wolf 65, and he had some great things to show as well over at 7 o'clock. And then 7:15, we had a newcomer, Dan. So Comic Chop News, he was just on right before me at 7:15. So I'm here to close things out at 7:30. And if you guys are new to this, every Thursday, it's a Tag Team Thursday event. We jump from one YouTube channel to the next, and everybody shares a little bit of their pull list or what they recently picked up or what they're reading or what they're looking forward to next week. So with that being said, take a minute. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel as well. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. And let me first get into the chat just a little bit and say hello. Oh, and I should say I've named this show the Comic Continuum, and I always like to just kind of point this out. But it's always that kind of like nonstop thinking about comics, right? There's always something going on, whether we just picked up new comics for New Comic Book Day, or we're in the middle of that transition of like hitting the weekend where we're just diving into those new comics. We're starting to read some stuff. Maybe we're catching up on some older series. And then next thing you know, it's next Tuesday, next Wednesday, and new books are right back out again. So it's never ending, always continuing. So this is my third episode of the Comic Continuum. So appreciate you guys. And so let me highlight the chat real quick before we get into it. And Wesley is in the house. What's going on, Wesley? Great to see you, my friend. Todd Christian's been hanging out here this entire time. So has PJ King. Appreciate you guys very, very much. Thanks for always hanging out. And there's Dan. If you guys missed it, make sure you sub him up and go back and catch the replay. We got Brandon in the house. What's going on, Brandon? And there he is, Just a Rican and his comics. Rod the Rican, what's up, brother? Glad that you had no internet issues today. It seemed like everything was running smooth, so that's always a plus. Make sure you guys go check his out if you missed it at 6:30. Make sure that's where all the fun began. And then it was followed by this man right here, John's Comics with Kids. What's going on, John? Where's Mariano? That's right, the closer. Herminio, what's going on, brother? Good to see you as well. Thanks for hanging out during this Tag Team Thursday. Seeing you in a lot of different chats, and it's nice to see you, my friend. And there's Tony. If you guys missed his video was live at 7 o'clock, or pre-recorded, but always good to see you, Tony. And we got Jennifer in the house. What's going on, Jennifer? Good to see you as always as well. So guys, bear with me as I'll be back and forth in the chat. I try to keep it, within a close time to 15 minutes, and by that I mean maybe 25 or so. Oh, the chat just jumped on me. Lost in Comics is here. He's been hanging out in the chat all evening as well. Good to see you, Lost in Comics. I also see Web82. Hello, hello. Phil is in the house as well. What is up, Phil? And we also had Kenneth Bird in the house. Hello, Kenneth. Smiley Tori also hanging out this entire evening. Thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate that. And we also have Professor Comics. What's going on? What's going on? It's a packed house. You guys are awesome. You guys rock. And so we're going to get into it. There's Dave. What's up, Dave? Dave has a show kicking off at 8 o'clock. So if you guys are still hanging out on the YouTubes, make sure you go check out Kachun and his channel later on at 8 o'clock. So with that being said, here's what we're doing. I'm going to talk about, I actually have 4 books that I want to talk about that I just picked up from this past New Comic Book Day. I want to give a little bit of detail on what I thought of the books. Won't go into too much to where I'm spoiling everything, but I will talk a little bit about them. So just there's your warning. I like to talk a little bit about the plots and stuff like that. And then from there, I will close out with, this time I got 5 books that I'm really excited for. And actually, there was 4, and I actually just added a 5th for next week. Thanks to Dan, who was just talking about one of the books that reminded me that that's coming out next week. So I added that to the list. So for those of you who don't know, I'm all about digital when it comes to actually reading the books. It's just more convenient of an experience for me. I also like that there's that panel-to-panel feature. You're zoomed in on the one panel at a time. Otherwise, if I read a book regularly, my eyes just wander and I ruin the surprises for myself. And that's a personal problem that I'm working on. But So I choose to do a lot of my reading digitally for the most part, unless it's like with an omnibus or some trades I'll read once in a while. But I'm going to dive into the first book here, and I'm going to start with Eternals. This is something that Rod just recently talked about. I know he said he jumped in on issue number 2. I don't know, Rod, if you said you read number 1 or not, but I liked issue 1 more than issue 2. And even issue 1 was like, you know, a 7.5. Me liking things so much, maybe I'll give it an 8. The artwork definitely is tremendous because it's Esad Ribic. And so one of the reasons I really wanted to get into this was because of the fact that it's Esad Ribic, and he's drawing some more, universal type of artwork similar to Thor, God of Thunder, which has just been amazing. His run with Jason Aaron, which I highly recommend if you guys haven't read that series. So seeing him here with Kieran Gillen doing the writing, I thought that it would be a solid team there. So second issue here, it opened up with some amazing battle panels going on between Thanos and the main Eternal. I can't remember his name now, but and I should say for the record, I've never read Eternals before this run, so I should go back at some point and check out some of the older stuff. But yeah, so for this, ultimately, I mean, number one, the cover is just so badass. Look at that. Such a beautiful cover with Thanos on the front there. And as you get into it, like I said, it just jumps into this awesome battle because Thanos shows up at the end of last issue, and they just go at it. And I actually really just love where he takes him out here at the top, blasts him right in the face with his eyes. It was so wild. Unfortunately, after the battle, things really start to slow down, and it got really slow to the point where, like, I mean, there was a part where I was like having trouble kind of sticking with it. But luckily, Cersei kind of shows up towards the middle-ish of the end, and she has this whole plan of what's going on. You kind of get a little bit more of an idea now of how the Earth is in trouble and how the team is now going to kind of handle that. So I'm hoping that issue 3 gets a lot better. I feel like now the stage has been set. We got a little bit of action, a little taste of action. I will not give up on this issue, especially because Esad Ribic is doing the artwork. So anytime he's doing interior stuff, I'm on it. I'm going to collect it. I'm going to read it. So, going to give this a shot anyway. So stay tuned. I'll probably talk about it next month when issue 3 comes out again, or comes out, and we'll catch up more when we go over that stuff. Wanted to just say a quick hello in the chat. I see Shattered Glass is in the house. Hello, Shattered Glass. Who else did I miss here? 3 Men in a Basement is in the house. What's going on, Otto and the crew? Appreciate you guys. Just had a great interview with Otto last Saturday over on my Comic Collector Origins show that I do every Saturday. Make sure you go check the replay if you haven't already. Otto was dropping some knowledge for sure. Let's see. Okay, I think I've kind of got everybody. Like I said, guys, feel free to just comment in. I try to keep up with the chat at the same time, but trying to keep it, within the 15 to 25 minute range on here. So, Kachung, Sprite is a girl like they have in the movie. Sprite, yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that she's in the gaming run. Okay, interesting. Yeah, like I said, I'm very new to a lot of these characters, so it's kind of all new to me. We did get a little bit of Iron Man though in the first issue. All right, next up that I want to talk to is Homesick Pilot. I don't know if any of you guys are reading this right now, but I have to say it's definitely it's a fun read. It's about these 3 band members. The Homesick Pilots is a band, right? It's these 3 kids essentially that put this band together, and they are basically the non-popular band. And so the first issue talked about, the lead singer, Amy, she wanted to like really figure out a way that they could get more on the scene. So she decides like, guys, we should like play at this haunted house. And, haunted house being, it's a house that had murders in it in the past. And like no one lives there now. It's old and abandoned. And the secret is this house, I mean, it really is haunted. And there are some ghosts in it that really tear some stuff up. So anyways, she ends up going to the house alone. Long story short, she gets stuck in the house and basically becomes part of the ghosts that live in this house. From that point on, we learn a little bit more about how the house operates and how there's some there's items that have traveled outside of the house that she kind of starts collecting for the house. With that, it gets a little more spookier. So, definitely a fun horror type of read. And then this latest issue was focused on Buzz, which was one of the guys from the band. And basically his way of like not giving up on trying to find Amy. He keeps going back to the house, trying to break in. He's taking notes about the house. He's noticing that the house changes, that like a kitchen was added and that different rooms keep moving around. So he's trying to figure out ways to get his friend back. And meanwhile, he's dealing with school, and they're trying to figure out where all these kids got lost, because Amy and the popular band all got sucked into the house. So anyways, long story short, definitely a fun read though, and I highly recommend it. What's up, Kelly? Kelly's in the house. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping in. I know you're reading Homesick Pilot, or you're not. Oh, you need to pick up the new one. Yeah, you should. You definitely should. The artwork's really cool too, which I always like to kind of show off a little bit. Sorry, there's a glare. Anyways, yeah. Oh yeah, there is some punk. There's some mentionings of punk bands in here as well. Yeah, exactly. Punk bands in the 90s. I'm in for sure. House of Horrors, literally, that is absolutely right. Lost in Comics for sure. So guys, check that out. I definitely recommend. It's been a fun read so far. It might be one of those books that you want to wait for trade. So after the 5th or 6th, you know, whenever it wraps up those issues, maybe you jump into it that way. It is by Image, so it shouldn't be too hard to find either. But anyways, the next one up I want to talk about is Scout's Honor, and this is one that John talked a little bit about. And actually, John had David Pepos, the writer, on his channel with White Whale Comics about 3 weeks ago or a month ago, whenever the first issue came out. And it was a really cool interview. Highly recommend checking out that replay. But this book right here has been so good. And I think it's only like 5 or 6 issues in total. You know, we essentially find out, I won't get into details, but we essentially find out some truths about Kit from the last issue. And, you know, Kit ends up finding the Highwaymen towards the end of the issue and stumbling into this robot that kind of attacks her, and she escapes from the Highwaymen. But when she does, she turns on the robot, and the robot lights up with this message from their the guy who they essentially praise. His name is Hancock. So they basically, she finds out that all the truth that they know about the way they're living right now in this futuristic world is not good. It's not the truth. And, or at least that's what the video said. So now she has these questions. So this second issue opens up with a little bit of a flashback talking about Kit as a kid with Kit's dad. And so, you know, you find out why that they lost Kit's mother and all this stuff. So it's really just Kit and Kit's father. And this is really hard to talk about without trying to, like, you know, for those of you who know, like, I try not to give too much away, but you guys know there's some cool things. What's up, Bearded Comic Bro? Good to see you, brother. So I highly recommend this. This was a lot of fun, and it moves quick enough to keep you interested. Essentially, Kit has now been chosen to go for Eagle Scout, I think is what the phrase of it is. Anyways, I have so much I could say about this. I got my girlfriend reading this. That's how great it is. She doesn't read comics, so she's reading this. So definitely recommend that. Last book that I want to talk about is this book right here, Radiant Black. Who here has been reading this? This book, or you know, the first issue, I know it just came out. Radiant Black, I just took a shot at it. I didn't even really like the cover that much, to be honest. I was like, let me, you know, I've been really open to trying new you know, indie series books, especially issue ones, giving it a shot just from the get-go. I think this is yeah, this is Image. So I said, okay, I'll give it a try, see what it's about. You know, the artwork is it's fine. It's nothing like amazing, but it's not terrible either. It essentially opens up with the main character who is he ended up finding out that he's in a lot of debt, money debt, and he is trying to get a loan. He keeps getting denied. You see he's working for Uber right now, and he's trying to figure out a way to kind of you know, how he's going to make up for some of this money. And long story short, he ends up being able to, or not being able to get the money that he needs, I guess, to pay off like where he's living and stuff. So he ends up moving back with his parents. You know, it's kind of a low point for him. He's not happy with it. He is kind of embarrassed in a sense. He doesn't tell a lot of people. It kind of happened out of nowhere. So he goes back and moves home with his parents. His parents, of course, are very happy about it. So when he goes home, he ends up running into an old friend of his who wants to take him out for the night, you know, have some drinks and catch up. He hasn't seen him. He used to go to high school with him. They're good buds. And so they end up going to this bar, hanging out, and they end up getting into some adventure when they leave the bar. And he essentially finds this thing. I don't know what we'll call it. This little, I don't know what to call it, little ball that's like this futuristic. I mean, it looks like that, right? So it's basically that little between the A's. And it's resting on this train track. They go over to it. He ends up touching it and turns into. Here's a perfect shot. So that shot right there is when he's like basically touching this thing and ends up getting this crazy suit. You can see. There's a really cool splash page. So I won't go into too much other detail, but like this is like essentially like him getting these like crazy powers for the first time. Him and his friend are just figuring this stuff out, and he is able to lift trains and do some other crazy stuff. And so it's interesting to think about the idea that this guy, he's down on his luck. He's in a lot of debt. He's embarrassed. He's moving back with his family, and now all of a sudden he's got really cool superpowers, and he doesn't know what to do with them yet. He's like freaking out in a way. Still learning what this suit can do for him altogether. His friend thinks it's totally awesome. So we'll see where it goes. This definitely was a great read for me. I thought it was a good pace. Was really into just the entire thing. So and the ending's really cool. I won't talk about the ending, but definitely really cool. So those are my 4 books that I've read for this week. I highly recommend if you haven't been reading them. It is a really cool, really good set of books. And let me jump back in the chat real quick. Justin, your copy of Radiant Black? It is actually. I think it's a 10. I think it's a 10, Bearded. This bad boy is a 10. I actually did order it. I should state that too. So all my digital books, a lot of these that I buy, I order them from my LCS, and they've been delivering them to me. So it's kind of it's kind of a problem for me. I keep buying books twice. But hey, if that book ever becomes something fancy, then there you go. I have it in pristine shape. What's up, Remy? Good to see you, my friend. So let's see. So the last thing I want to close out with, and I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit the like button. Last 4. These are the 5 books that I'm going to be reading, or that I'll be picking up next week. So Boom Studio has Abbott 1973 that came out. The first issue just came out a month ago, and I really like this. It was by Saladin Ahmed. I thought the story was really cool. She is the light bringer. There's some evilness going on in the city, and essentially she's the only one that can answer it. So if you guys haven't read, I know there's a first series called just Abbott, and then they came out with 1973, which takes place right after. So it's really cool. Definitely recommend it. Next book I'm looking forward to is Shadow Doctor. This is really interesting too. It got my attention because it was from Aftershock, and it was in the back end of the stories from Scout's Honor. So I decided to kind of take a peek at it, and it looks really interesting. Basically, it's about a young guy who just finished med school, but he can't. He won't get hired by a hospital. From what I read before, he won't get hired by a hospital because he's black, and he needs money, and he can't get a loan. He's getting denied. We're talking a lot about like debt and people getting denied with loans. And this place takes place, I think, back in the 30s or 40s. So in another way he's trying to figure out how to get money, he ends up leaning towards focusing on the mob, and I think it's that he joins the mob. So maybe that's how he's getting his cash there. So anyways, I think it's going to be worth a read. I'm definitely going to check out Shadow Doctor. The third book is Hollow Heart. This book just looks really cool, futuristic style of a book. It's by Vault. And I don't know much about it, but I'm definitely going to check it out. The artwork looked really cool. I pre-ordered cover A and I think cover B. So definitely looking forward to that as well. John saying he's excited for Shadow Doctor. Absolutely, me too, man. That's right. I think it is based off a true story. Yes, Bearded. I think it is. That's what they listed in the little preview. They had a little preview in Scout's Honor. There you go, Remy. Thank you, Remy. So next book up is Catwoman, and Dan was just talking about this, and I really liked issue number 1 for what it was worth. I am not a DC guy. If you guys don't already know that, I just don't read a lot of DC. Haven't taken the time to really read a lot of DC. There's just so much of it, and I'm already wrapped up in so many other things right now. So I did decide to jump into some Future State just because it was like a fresh start. So I read Catwoman issue #1 for Future State, and I thought it was pretty cool. Very fast paced, a lot of action. Selena jumping on a train, trying to rescue these kids. They end up taking over the train. There's a special guest on the train that I won't mention who it is. They find out, and the artwork's really cool too. So curious. I think this is just a 2-parter, so really curious where this goes. But I am definitely going to pick this up as well. Bearded, come on, man. Bengals guy, Bengals DC guy, come on, man. Glitter saying so many American doctor had a practice underground back in the day. I'm gonna read that. Oh, there you go. Yep. So yeah. So anyway, so that basically, and then the last book, this was the book that Dan reminded me of, is Black Friday is coming out. This is by Black Caravan is the publisher. John Clark is the writer. Travis Williamson, not very familiar with these creators, but oh no, it's Scouts Comics. Sorry, it's Scouts Comics, but it says Black Caravan. I don't know what the difference is, but anyways, this cover is badass, man. Look at this. I am really getting into like the horror books of the indie titles that have been coming out. So I just read before Fear Case that came out last week. Loved Fear Case. I just read Maniac of New York. I really enjoyed that, even though it kind of copied the idea of Jason. It still seemed like a really cool book and very disturbing. So any of these like horror type books, I'm definitely checking out, at least getting the first issue to explore a little more. So yeah, this just looks really cool. Just from the cover is I'm straight up buying it. So there Kelly Kelly saying issue 1 was good. Is that from Catwoman? Yes, absolutely. And yeah, cool cover for sure. Oh, it's an imprint of Scout. Okay, so there you go. Good to know. Learn something new every day. Asian Funk is in the house. That man's doing a big giveaway. Check him out. I was just on a panel with Asian Funk and Bearded and Just a Rican and Brandon, if he's still in here. And we had a whole crew there over on Rod's channel, and that was a lot of fun. On what was that? Monday night, I think, or I'm mixing up my days. But for Lame or Frame, that was my first time on, and I mean, me and Roscoe, we did, we happened to close it out, but I won't talk much about it. So appreciate that, guys. Thanks so much for just hanging with me here. So those are the 5 books that I will be getting next week that I'm really excited about, and definitely check out the reads that I was talking about earlier, because they were very good as well. So one last thing. So anyone that's just catching this, make sure you guys go sub up everyone else that went earlier today in our Tag Team Thursday. Just a Rican in his comics, he just kicked it off at 6:30 today. It's every 6:30 or every Thursday at 6:30 is over on Just a Rican and his comics. So check it out. Layman Frame Tuesdays. Yeah. I'm mixing my stuff up, man. What's up, James? Good to see you, my friend. Justin, you carried him. Right? As I'm saying, I'm just saying, Roscoe's a great dude, though. He's a great dude, and I have the drawings here. I might have to put them up on Instagram or something, and I'll probably get a lot of likes from it. Roscoe said his shoulders from carrying Justin. Bearded man, I don't know what you're talking about. I could barely hear Roscoe, so it was hard to hard to see him because I couldn't hear him, if that makes sense. So after Rod at 6:30, 6:45 is John's Comics with Kids. If you guys missed it, go catch the replay. From there, it was Old Wolf 65, who's also in the chat. He started off at 7 o'clock, and then we had Dan join us, Comic Chop News. Great video, Dan. Appreciate you being part of the Tag Team Thursday. So make sure you guys check him out. He kicked it off at 7:15 today, and this is an ongoing thing, guys. So swing by Thursday, 6:30. Go to Rod's channel, Just a Rican in his comics. This has been so much fun. Appreciate everybody jumping in. Love seeing everybody in the chat and jumping, so on and so forth. So a couple things that I have coming up. I just want to make an announcement that this Saturday, I am really excited to say that I will be interviewing my dad for the Comic Collector Origins show that I do at 2 o'clock every Saturday. I'm going to have my dad on as my guest, and we're going to interview. I'm going to ask him about his origin story, not just about how he got into comics, but I'm going to ask him how he got into art and how he eventually got into Marvel and DC. We're going to get a little bit into detail about some of his you know, his successes and his failures, and some of the things that he went through while going through some of these, you know, bigger named, you know, publishers, and then how he kind of took on some independent work as well. So really excited to dive into that, interviewing my dad. Like I said, 2:00 Eastern time. I see Azor's in the house. What's going on, brother? Sounds like a party. It is, Eric. It really is. Make sure you sub up Just the Rican and his comics. That man right there, that's where it starts for 6:30s on Thursday. And we literally jump every 15 minutes to the next YouTube channel that's part of this. So appreciate you stopping in, and definitely check out their replays. So like I said, that's my big thing for Saturday, 2:00 Eastern time. Oh, and how could I forget? I'm going to be on a show with Life of a Geeky Mind on Saturday as well, 11:00 Eastern time. I should put her stuff. I should put a link down in the description later. I didn't add that, but check me out on Instagram because I'll talk about that more over there. She's gonna be interviewing me. I'm gonna be talking a little bit about my experience with the community, my experience with comics, how I got into things, and all that stuff. So if you're not following Life of a Geeky Mind, go check her out. Jen, she's over on Instagram. She has a YouTube channel that she just started not too long ago. So make sure you sub her up there as well. So yeah, 2 shows Saturday, 11:00 I'll be on her channel, 2:00 I'll be on my channel interviewing my dad. So really, really excited for all that here. Catching up a little bit on the chat. The chat just like jumps out of nowhere sometimes. Again, one question. Yeah, so Bearded is funny because Brandon was mentioning that on the show, but he was like, he was kind of hush hush about it. He's like, shouldn't you like be amazing at drawing? I'm like, nah, man, I didn't get that gene. I didn't learn that stuff. But yeah, my dad can draw. I can draw. Yeah, comics for cheap. Totally agree, man. Definitely an awkward name for sure. That was a lot of fun, that show, that Lamer Frame, man. It really was. Exactly. Definitely going to be there for that. Excited to hear from your dad. Thanks, John, man. I really appreciate it. Dad interviewing, wow, going to be epic. Yeah, man, I hope so. I mean, hopefully I might hear some stories I never heard of. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I will still hit him with the rapid questions too, because I want to hear a little bit more, some random details. People that I been reaching out to me about my show, they like the random question section. So I'll probably put something up at some time where if you want to ask a question yourself, submit it to me on Instagram and I'll have it on the show. So that is definitely something that I would like to do. Why is Marvel better than DC? Yeah. Oh, it's cool. My dad's he actually has a cover that's coming out with one of the new Spider-Man books that are coming out. Non-Stop Spider-Man. Have you guys heard about this? Non-Stop Spider-Man. It's coming out, I think, in like 3 weeks or something, maybe a month from now. So he did a variant on there, and it's a really cool variant. I actually showed off the variant probably like 6 or 7 months ago when he actually mailed me the original sketch, the original artwork for that variant. So I actually have it on the wall. But so that's coming out. So he's actually still doing a little bit of work with Marvel, even though for the most part he's been independent lately. So, but we'll get into details with all that fun stuff later. Like I said, guys, Tag Team Thursday. This is what it's about. Guys, make sure you go check out the other guys' channels because there was a lot of fun, and we're doing this every Thursday. So make sure you start it all off with Rod, Just a Rican, and his comics. I put all their links down in the description below. It's so much fun. I really I love this. I love the community. Love seeing everybody out and about. We're looking forward to having more people and so on and so forth. So Rod, John, and Tony, you three, thank you so much for kicking this off the way that you have, because it really is starting to turn into something, and it's really fun. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it. Rod saying, don't spoil it. All right, man, I'll stop. Azor saying, Dad, what's your favorite pencil and pens to use? See, perfect questions right there. Definitely, I'll use that, Eric. I like that. So anyways, I hit the 8 o'clock mark. I've been trying to keep these at 15 minutes, and anytime I say 15 minutes, I really mean 25. So boom, there you go. I even went past that. Sorry about that. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Maybe I'll catch you on Saturday at 11 over on Jen's channel, Life of a Geeky Mind, or over on my channel at 2 o'clock to interview my dad. Otherwise, make sure you sub up everybody in the chat, including the 4 other gentlemen that were on before me for Tag Team Thursday. And shout out to the crew. So appreciate you guys, and happy Friday tomorrow. Yes, go Friday. See you guys later.